Rail and Bone. Beneath the Lansing Mountains, July 5th. Cora and her violet eyes brightened the tunnel with their faces as they shuffled along the walls. Every now and then, they stopped periodically to listen for movement, then carried on. Cora estimated they were almost halfway between the Terranine and Acre regions by this point. A group of sleeping bats hung upside down over their heads. Another tunnel veered to their right with a separate rail switch. 92 peered inside, then followed it about 50 yards while the others watched. Dead end, it reported upon its return. There was another dead end left, this one facing south. While the others inspected the dead end, Cora inspected the gouges in the walls. They were deep and wide, and chunks of rock were missing. She stumbled over something as she inspected the gouges, falling to one knee. "Are you all right?" 97 asked telepathically. It hopped over the track and helped her up. "Yes, I didn't see that rock," she said, pointing behind her. But it wasn't a rock. A bright yellow construction servo lay on the edge of the sloping wall. Its round head was bashed in on one side, its visor shattered to reveal bulbous lenses behind it. Its single tread was crushed, and the mangled mess of parts was scattered alongside the track. She touched the servo for signs of life. It was long dead, its core snuffed out. They rounded the next bend. Another group of bats had gathered overhead, clinging to the ceiling. A pale human lay on the floor. The man had been flattened onto his stomach, his skull bashed in. Dark, dried blood covered his back, and his clothes were torn open. His pack's contents were scattered across the tunnel. Cora peered into a shallow hole beside the man. A woman held her knees up to her chest. Her gray eyes were open in a terrified gaze, but Cora didn't detect any wounds. The woman's cheeks were sunken in, her cracked lips bloody from dehydration. Cora lifted her cloak. Her undershirt clung to her bony ribcage. "She died of dehydration," Cora concluded. She reached in and gently closed the woman's eyes with 2 fingers. "Why do you do this?" 63 asked as it watched. "Respect for the dead. She can rest in peace now." The man's pack contained water and food. If she had needed them that badly, they were mere feet away. The woman could have reached them. The other thing that stuck out to Cora was the level of plasmium emanating from both bodies, like they were irradiated. They continued. "This is a bad place," Coney suddenly said. "Coney? Get out! Get out now!" A sudden flutter caught Cora's attention. The bats above them scattered, practically beating the group with their wings. They took off down the tunnel, and the first group of bats followed soon after. As soon as the fluttering faded, they heard something behind them. A dust cloud fell from the ceiling as the tunnel vibrated. An immense wind gust pushed them forward, and then a massive shadow overtook them. Cora saw it in time and flattened herself against the wall. Unit 63 and 92 followed suit. Bits of rock fell all around her, some hitting her on the head. A hovering locomotive shot past her just inches from her face. The train cars bounced carelessly on the track as sparks blew out under the chassis. The train whipped against the rock, slamming up and down on the rail. At last, it passed. Cora looked beside her. 63 and 92 pushed off the wall and stood in the center of the tunnel, staring with their weapons drawn. She just caught a glimpse of its back engine as it went around the bend, a long nose dented inwards. 97 came to Cora's aid again. "Are you all right?" it asked, brandishing a white, snub-nosed submachine gun. "Don't worry about me. Where's 81? 81 got to one knee on the other side of the track. It wobbled to its feet, then turned. 81's right arm was bent in the wrong direction, and 3 of its fingers were broken. The right side of its chest had been crushed. A splintered crack ran down its faceplate, cleaving its vision. Its lens flashed periodically, signaling enormous pain. Cora jumped the track and assessed the damage. "We need to get out of here." 97 turned to her. "Damage assessment indicates 81 cannot ambulate independently." Cora put 81's good arm around her shoulder. "Then I will help." 97 aimed its submachine gun at 81's chest. "It's just one in a series. It cannot put you in danger." "Stop!" Cora yelled, her voice echoing. "You can't do They were interrupted by a screech and a crash. The tunnel vibrated again. Just in time, they jumped back as the train came screaming through once more. Cora pulled 81 against the wall with her. The train whipped its back like a tail, sending chunks of rock flying. Cora drew her Fossblade as it flew by and swung, lighting up the tunnel. The thing roared in pain. The violet eyes on the other side of the tunnel fired. As it passed them again, Cora caught sight of the front engine. A long nose ended in a rounded point. The outer layer of armor plating was missing in several places, exposing a thin underlayer beneath. No driver's cab was present. Instead, a pair of pupilless digitized eyes glared at them, purple-black. It disappeared around the other bend. Then they heard a piercing hiss as it hit its brakes. "Run!" Cora commanded. They took off at a sprint along the rail, their metal footfalls pounding against the hard ground. 63 and 92 hurtled over another body and kept running. The group sprinted without stopping. The tunnel seemed endless. Then, the wind changed behind Cora. "Stop!" Cora yelled. The sentries halted and fired behind them. The fin rail bucked, aiming its tail at Cora. She swung her blade again, mistiming the strike. Her hand sparked as it struck the side of the train, and her blade disappeared. Her sentries fired as it passed them, and it wriggled in pain. Cora looked at her hand. Her index and middle fingers were bent in the wrong direction, and her wrist couldn't rotate around. Only a drop of energy appeared when she tried to create her Fossblade. "Hide," Coney said. "You have to let it think you're gone." "Where?" "In here," 63 said, seeming to hear her. Another dead end stretched into the dark beyond. The 5 ducked into it and crouched low. "Visage light off," Cora instructed, and they were thrust into darkness.